Welcome to Headline Hub Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. On September 18, 2025, the fragile calm of the South China Sea was shattered near the contested Second Thomas Shoal. What began as a routine day quickly spiraled into a moment that would capture the world's attention and raise the stakes for the entire region. A Philippine resupply mission, tasked with bringing food and water to the grounded BRP Sierra Madre, suddenly found itself encircled, not by the usual Coast Guard vessels, but by a formidable Chinese Navy destroyer and a swarm of militia boats. The tension in the air was palpable, as the Philippine crew realized they were outnumbered and outgunned. The Chinese ships moved with chilling precision, unleashing powerful water cannons to disable the smaller Philippine boats. This was no mere warning, it was a clear and dangerous escalation, signaling Beijing's willingness to use forceful tactics to assert its claims. At the very same time, Chinese J-20 stealth fighters and H-6 bombers crossed the Taiwan Strait's median line in a simulated strike, sending a message not just to Taiwan, but to the entire region that China was prepared to flex its military muscle on multiple fronts. Meanwhile, near the disputed Senkaku Islands, Chinese vessels attempted to land personnel, further stoking tensions with Japan and signaling that no flashpoint was off limits. Beijing was orchestrating a high-stakes test of its neighbors' resolve, probing for weaknesses and daring anyone to push back. The world watched as the region's fragile peace teetered on the edge. In Manila, government officials scrambled to file diplomatic protests, but their words seemed powerless against the backdrop of such blatant aggression. International journalists reported live, capturing the anxiety and outrage of ordinary citizens glued to their screens. Isolated and running dangerously low on supplies, the crew of the Sierra Madre documented the blockade with shaky hands and worried faces. Their footage became an urgent reminder of their vulnerability and a symbol of the Philippines' precarious position. China's actions were a masterclass in gray zone warfare, pushing boundaries, using non-lethal force and creating confusion, all while stopping just short of open conflict. The world saw a new kind of warfare, one that blurred the lines between peace and war. Every move was calculated to remain just below the threshold that would trigger U.S. defense treaties. In Washington and allied capitals, military planners and analysts pored over footage, weighing the risks of escalation and the cost of inaction. For the Philippines, Taiwan, and Japan, the threat was no longer abstract or theoretical, it was now at their very doorstep. Their naval forces went on high alert, launching joint exercises and patrols to signal their readiness. The question now loomed large: how would these nations respond to a China determined to rewrite the region's rules by force? The world held its breath, knowing that the next move could change the course of history in the Asia-Pacific. The region's response was immediate. In Manila, President Marcos Jr. called an emergency security meeting, raising military alert and activating the U.S. Defense Hotline. Public outrage surged, exposing the limits of the Philippines' military and the necessity of alliances. In Taipei, Taiwan scrambled jets, tested air raid sirens, and President Lai vowed to defend democracy. Japan condemned China's actions, coordinated with the U.S. and Manila, and reinforced its decision to boost defense spending. South Korea, though not directly involved, watched with concern, recognizing the risk of regional instability. The crisis underscored the volatility of East Asia and the interconnectedness of its security. U.S. forces in the region became even more vital to the security calculus. The events forced every nation to confront the reality that conflict could spill over at any moment. Today's tensions are rooted in a tangled history. Memories of Japanese imperialism and colonialism fuel distrust, complicating modern alliances. Territorial disputes over the Senkaku Diaoyu, Dokdo Takeshima, and the South China Sea are about sovereignty and national pride, not just land. These disputes, fueled by history and resource competition, hinder seamless cooperation. The Cold War's legacy persists. The Korean Peninsula remains divided, Taiwan's status ambiguous, and U.S. alliances are bilateral, not multilateral. This structure, while effective, limits deeper regional unity, something China exploits. Each nation's identity is shaped by past trauma, making alliance building a monumental challenge. Understanding these histories is key to grasping why unity is so elusive, even in the face of a common threat. China's assertiveness is part of a grand strategy for regional dominance. The PLA's rapid modernization, aircraft carriers, stealth fighters, and advanced missiles, aims to deter U.S. intervention, especially over Taiwan. Economically, China uses its Belt and Road Initiative to create dependencies, leveraging trade as a weapon. Beijing punishes defiance with sanctions and rewards compliance, reshaping the regional order to suit its interests. Diplomatically, China works to weaken U.S. alliances and legitimize its claims in international forums. Its gray zone tactics, harassment at sea, cyber attacks, and disinformation, exhaust and intimidate neighbors without triggering war. This constant pressure strains the resources and resolve of the region. China's incremental approach is difficult to counter, making unity among its neighbors more urgent than ever. Each nation facing China brings its own unique set of strengths and vulnerabilities to the table, shaped by history, geography, and evolving security needs. Their military capabilities, while impressive in some areas, are often constrained by political realities and resource limitations. Japan's navy is among the most advanced in the region, equipped with cutting-edge ships and submarines. However, its actions have long been restricted by a pacifist constitution, a legacy of World War II. In recent years, Japan has been racing to expand its military capabilities, investing in new technologies and strengthening alliances. But it still faces legal and cultural hurdles as it adapts to new threats. South Korea's military is modern, well-trained, and formidable, boasting advanced technology and a strong alliance with the United States. Yet its primary focus remains the threat from North Korea, which limits its ability to project power regionally. This focus complicates its balancing act between maintaining U.S. support and managing its complex relationship with China. Taiwan's porcupine strategy is designed to make any invasion by China as costly and difficult as possible, relying on asymmetric tactics and advanced defensive systems. Despite these efforts, Taiwan is still vastly outmatched by the People's Liberation Army and faces the constant risk of isolation if a crisis erupts, making international support crucial. The Philippines, while strategically located at the crossroads of major sea lanes, remains militarily underdeveloped. It relies heavily on its geography and its mutual defense treaty with the United States for security. However, the country struggles to patrol and defend its vast maritime territory, leaving it vulnerable to encroachment and gray zone tactics. All these nations are exposed to China's gray zone tactics, coercive actions that stop short of open conflict, as well as the growing threat of advanced missile systems and cyber warfare, which can undermine defenses before a shot is fired. Their survival in a crisis depends not only on their own resilience and ability to hold out long enough for outside help, but also on the depth of their cooperation with each other and with key allies like the United States. Only by pooling their strengths, sharing intelligence, and coordinating strategies can these nations hope to deter or withstand Chinese aggression, ensuring peace and stability in the region for the future. East Asia's geography is defined by the first and second island chains. The first chain, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, bottles up China's navy. Breaking out is Beijing's key objective. For the US and allies, this chain is a vital defensive line. If Taiwan falls, the entire structure is compromised. The second chain, anchored by Guam, is the US military staging area, but is now threatened by China's long-range missiles. These island chains are long and hard to defend, making unity among their defenders essential. China aims to exploit gaps with missile barrages and access denial. Only coordinated defense, intelligence sharing, and joint operations can turn these islands into a true barrier. The geography demands unity. Without it, the region's security is fatally exposed. Under pressure, the region is forging new security ties. The old hub-and-spoke system is evolving into networked, flexible partnerships, like US-Japan-South Korea, and Japan-Philippines-US groupings. Intelligence sharing is expanding, with Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines pooling insights on PLA movements and cyber threat. Joint military exercises are now practical drills for real-world crises, building true interoperability. Defense cooperation extends to technology and procurement, reducing reliance on single suppliers and boosting collective strength. These partnerships are the most significant security shift in decades. They offer the best hope for deterring aggression and maintaining peace. The urgency of the threat is finally overcoming old barriers to cooperation. Despite progress, major obstacles remain. Historical distrust, especially between Japan and South Korea, still flares up, undermining cooperation. Economic dependence on China makes nations wary of provoking Beijing, as businesses lobby for moderation. Divergent priorities complicate unity. South Korea focuses on North Korea, Taiwan faces existential threat, and Japan is still adjusting to a larger security role. Aligning these interests into a coherent strategy is a diplomatic challenge. Taiwan's ambiguous status further complicates matters. Most countries don't officially recognize it, limiting open cooperation. Integrating Taiwan into a security alliance risks provoking China, the very conflict everyone hopes to avoid. These challenges make building a united front difficult, but not impossible. Navigating them is essential for credible deterrence. September 18, 2025 marked a pivotal moment in history, ending an era of uncertainty and ambiguity. The world watched as the clock ticked towards a new reality. China's coordinated show of force left no room for doubt about its ambitions. Its message was clear. It seeks dominance over the Western Pacific, a region vital to global interests. For the Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea, unity is no longer just an option. It is now a matter of survival. These nations must stand together to face the challenges ahead. The stakes are global and immense. Peace, prosperity, and the free flow of trade all hinge on stability in this crucial region. The world economy depends on these waters remaining open and secure. A fragmented response invites defeat. Only a united front can effectively deter Beijing's ambitions. The cost of inaction is too high to ignore. By sharing intelligence, coordinating militaries, and speaking with one voice, these nations raise the cost of aggression significantly. Unity is their strongest weapon. This collective strength is the only language China respects. It is a language of power and resolve, one that demands attention and respect. The path forward demands bold leadership and a willingness to set aside old grievances. Only by overcoming past disputes can these nations forge a new future. Only through unwavering unity can these nations secure a stable, free future for Asia. The hopes of future generations depend on the actions taken today. The choice is stark and clear: unity or living under the shadow of a single, dominant power. The future of Asia hangs in the balance, and the decision made now will echo for generations.